If you're honest with yourself, you already know this video is for you. You're not where you want to be in life. And what bothers you isn't just the gap between where you are and where you imagined you'd be. It's how quietly that gap formed. There was no single failure, no dramatic collapse, just time passing, months turning into years, plans getting delayed, then reworded, then slowly forgotten. You stayed functional, you stayed busy, you stayed fine. And that's exactly how men get stuck without ever feeling like they failed. Most men think being stuck means doing nothing. That's wrong. Being stuck usually looks like motion without direction. Routines that keep you afloat but never move you forward. Distractions that keep you occupied but never fulfilled. And goals that live permanently in your head instead of your actions. You tell yourself you'll push harder when things calm down, when you have more time, when you feel more ready. But the truth is, life doesn't suddenly hand you urgency. Urgency is something you either create or you lose. This video isn't about motivation. It's not about grinding harder or pretending discipline alone will save you. It's about exposing the real structural reasons you're not where you want to be. The habits, decisions, and comforts that slowly replaced pressure, edge, and intent. Because once you see what's actually holding you in place, you can't unsee it. And more importantly, you can't keep lying to yourself about why nothing has changed. If you're done surviving on potential, done telling yourself soon, and done mistaking stability for progress, stay with me. Because what you're about to hear isn't comforting, but it is honest. And honesty is where real movement starts. The reason you're not where you want to be isn't confusion, it's comfort. And not the obvious kind people warn you about. Not luxury, not laziness, not excess. It's functional comfort. The kind that lets you wake up, get through the day, pay your bills, distract yourself at night, and repeat the cycle without immediate consequences. Nothing is collapsing, so nothing feels urgent, and that's exactly the trap. When life is uncomfortable enough to survive but not painful enough to force change, most men stall indefinitely. Urgency used to come naturally. When you were younger, the pressure was external. Deadlines, expectations, competition, fear of falling behind. Over time, that pressure fades unless you deliberately replace it. You get used to your income level, your body, your routine, your social circle. You normalize circumstances that once would have pushed you to act. And because adaptation feels like maturity, you mistake stagnation for stability. But stability without direction isn't growth. It's slow erosion. Here's the part most men avoid admitting. Comfort doesn't arrive all at once. It sneaks in through small compromises. You stop training as hard because you're busy. You delay the move, the risk, the leap because now's not the right time. You lower the standard just enough to avoid friction. None of these decisions feel fatal on their own, but stacked together, they remove the pressure that once sharpened you. And without pressure, there is no edge. Men don't lose their ambition overnight. They domesticate it. They keep it alive in thought but starve it in action. You still think about the life you want. You still imagine a stronger version of yourself. But imagination becomes the substitute for execution. As long as you can picture it, you feel like you haven't abandoned it. That's the lie. Visualizing a future you're not building is just another form of comfort. What makes this dangerous is that comfort doesn't feel like weakness. It feels reasonable. It sounds mature. It hides behind logic, patience, and caution. But if your days no longer demand more of you than yesterday did, you're not preparing for a better future. You're training yourself to tolerate less. And tolerance is the opposite of progress. The men who break out of this don't wait for motivation. They don't wait for pain. They manufacture urgency. They raise standards before life forces them to. They introduce pressure where comfort has settled. Because the truth is simple and brutal. If nothing in your life currently requires you to level up, you won't. And comfort will keep you exactly where you are. Quietly, indefinitely, until years are gone and the cost finally becomes undeniable. Once comfort removes urgency, something else takes over without you noticing. Reactivity. Your life stops being something you drive and starts being something you respond to. You wake up and deal with what's in front of you. Messages, work, obligations, distractions. You handle problems as they appear, chase short-term relief, and call it productivity. But none of it is anchored to a long-term direction. You're active, but you're not deliberate. And activity without direction is how years disappear. Most men think they're making decisions when they're really just choosing the least uncomfortable option available in the moment. They react to circumstances instead of setting constraints. They let moods decide training, energy decide discipline, and other people's expectations decide their schedule. When life gets hectic, the first thing that disappears isn't entertainment, it's intention. Long-term goals get postponed because they don't scream for attention the way immediate problems do. This is why being busy doesn't mean you're progressing. A reactive life rewards short-term fixes, not structural change. You put out fires instead of building fireproof systems. You chase relief instead of leverage. And because reacting feels necessary, you rarely question whether the problems you're solving are even aligned with where you want to go. You become efficient at maintaining a life you never consciously chose. Direction requires friction. It means deciding in advance what matters, then letting everything else feel inconvenient. Reactive men avoid that discomfort. They keep options open, postpone commitment, and tell themselves flexibility is freedom. But flexibility without a clear aim is just drift with better excuses. The longer you avoid setting a direction, the more your environment sets one for you, slowly, quietly, without asking. Here's the hard truth. If you don't impose structure on your life, something else will. Work demands, relationships, habits, algorithms, comfort. None of them are designed to take you where you want to go. They're designed to keep you engaged, occupied, and predictable. Direction only comes when you decide what you're building, then ruthlessly filter your actions through that lens. Not someday. Not when things calm down. Now. Men who move forward don't wait for clarity to appear. They create it through decisions. They accept that some choices will feel premature, uncomfortable, and isolating. Because forward momentum isn't created by reacting better. It's created by choosing a direction and paying the price to stay aligned with it. And until you do that, no amount of effort will move you where you want to be. If this hit uncomfortably close, that's a good sign. It means you're still aware. And awareness is the last thing most men lose before they settle permanently. But awareness alone won't move you. Comfort will keep offering you reasons to wait, and life will keep giving you just enough stability to stay put. The difference between men who change and men who don't isn't talent or luck. It's whether they decide to stop reacting and start directing, even when it costs them ease, certainty, and approval. If you're serious about taking control of your direction, don't just watch and nod along. Apply pressure, raise your standards. Make at least one decision that your comfortable self would avoid. And if this message resonates, make sure you like the video, comment with what stood out, subscribe to the channel, and share this with a man who needs to hear it. That's how this message spreads, and how you remind yourself that staying stuck is a choice you no longer plan to make.